could be better than this kind of an express entry draw? I'm sure you're all thinking, this blitz is what you want to see continue. December, IRCC had a bit of a heart melt, if I would like to call that, and they invited 11,000 people under Canadian experience class. December started with a big bang. I mean, did we even anticipate, did we even expect something like this to happen? I mean, at least I didn't. I thought IRCC is again going to start with a very tepid, mellow month draw, and then take it from there on, probably taking it to its peak somewhere in the mid-year, and then again mellowing it down. But no, IRCC wanted to make another statement. They actually conducted the second largest express entry CEC specific draw ever in the history of express entry since 2015. So this was awesome. 10 years later, big bang is what we anticipate, or we didn't anticipate, but we really are thankful to you, IRCC. Please keep this going. But then, when you see the flurry of questions from people, will I get a draw at 510? Will I get invited at 509, 508, 507, 506, 500? People are even expected and hopeful at 490s now. Well, when IRCC will invite 19,000 people in a span of, what is it, about 1 month? Yeah, actually less than 1 month, 10 December, then again after that. Yeah, so if IRCC is going to invite 19,000 people in a span of 1 month, obviously everybody has a right to get very pumped up, hopeful, forever hopeful for that matter, because that's the rule of this game, whether you like it or not. If you're playing it, you are in it. You have to go with IRCC's rules of the game. You don't have any choice. And this is even more dangerous than the Squid Games, if you have ever watched that. IRCC can choose to change the rules. IRCC can choose to make new ones. IRCC can choose to go back to the old ones without actually ever informing you. But this one, this particular one, this face of IRCC, we all love, we all like. I was super excited because with an express entry draw, I haven't been this excited. I mean, I think the last time I was excited, 27,732 was the number of invitations. The first time when that they really threw that big bomb on the 13th of February, 2021. After that, the next time they did something really, really drastic when I was very excited, and that was when they conducted back to back 3 draws of 7,000 invitations in each draw. And this was in April, March or April of 2023. Very exciting because you don't expect IRCC to do this. And then this year, wow, this year IRCC played a completely, they were pretty much dead as far as, and I'm talking only about Canadian experience class, because Francophones had a different reasons to celebrate and be overjoyed throughout the year. But CECs predominantly, you pretty much felt that this was a stepsisterly attitude or stepchild attitude or stepbrotherly, whatever you want to call it, kind of an attitude being shown to Canadian experience class, because at the end of the day, you guys have stayed in Canada as international students. You have roughed it out. You probably have endured those employers who have been abusive. Some of you, of course. Some of you have just stuck with the job because you had to go with that knock-B job work experience. You had to go through with this. So you just stuck around. And then you waited and you waited and you waited and draws never came. So you obviously are going to love it. The question now is, and I hate to play the spoil sport here. I hate it. But the question has to be asked. And that is, will IRCC continue with this? The way I look at it, I don't see that happening. They may play this game for some time, but you know, I know there is a quota, there is a limit to how many they can invite. They have a numbers to work with. This year's numbers are slightly lower than last year's numbers, so they have to work with these numbers. How is it going to be that they continue with these kind of big draws? It's a good thing that they invited 8,000 people. Why? Because this is also because, you see, their inventory was very, very thin over the last year. After August onwards, when they were inviting only 1,000 people each month, the CECs, and we saw towards the end of the year, they were really dishing out decisions very, very quickly. People were getting decisions in a flat 1 month time in Canadian experience class. A lot of people. I know there are some of you who still haven't heard back, even if you submitted in August, September, October. But I'm just saying, in a lot of cases, when that was happening, their inventory was pretty much thinning out. And when they have come into this year, they have come with the inventory of about what? And 11,000 from December, and this month now 8,000, giving them some applications. I mean, imagine their staff is just going to be sitting, twiddling their thumbs, not having nothing much to do. That's what they won't like, right? So they wanted to see that the work continues. But so the last year we had about in the Canadian experience class, we had about 35,000 invitations overall. Francophones still got 48,000, but let's stick with this one for the time being, and just bear with me. CECs just got 35,000, give or take. I don't remember the exact number now. Of which 11,000 came only in December, which basically meant 24,000 for the whole year. But then what also happened, big change happened last year in March, on the 25th of March, when they removed the job offer points for LMIAs and closed work permit holders and intra-company transfers. And yeah, that's a different story, but they removed those points. And then they went into silence for about almost 2 months because they had to make all those changes in the system, etc. And when they came back with the draws were not really as big. We didn't really see much difference in the pool. We didn't see the numbers really making a big difference. And then in August, they went silent. They went on this stealth mode. I do not know why. And they were only inviting 1,000 as if giving consolation prize. Here, you go, 1,000 people. Here, you go, 1,000 people. But that's not what was expected. Instead, they continue to pump up the invitations on the Francophone category. Again, was not expected, but that's what happened. Now, when we are back in, now we are in 2026. And while incredible start with 8,000 invitations, I would like to play the devil's advocate here. I would like to play the spoil sport, and you can call me names, you can call me whatever you wish to, but it cannot be sustained. It's not realistic. How long can they continue with big draws? So will the next draw also be 8,000? I would be super excited if it is, right? Why not? But is that a practical option? Is that how we can? So that is a big question. So I want to hear from you. Let me hear in the comments below. What do you guys think? Do you think that's how it's going to roll out? Do you think they will keep inviting people with such big numbers? I mean, a lot of you out there are also quite interested in numbers. You guys also play data analytics all the time, right? You like to play this game. So what are you thinking? Do you think this is going to continue? I don't think so. I think in this whole year, considering that the number of PR quotas for this year is already a bit lower, this has to be topped up somewhere. And if they have to top up somewhere, either they're going to play this start-stop game again, right? They will start big, then they will stop, then they will start again, and then they will stop, which honestly nobody likes. Or they will, at some point of time, taper it down. It will become more tepid. It will become more mellow. And you will go back to seeing 3,000, 2,000, 2,500, 3,500 kind of draws so that they can sustain. Mind you, even if they were to conduct just 3,000 invitations every month, only 3,000, it would still be 36,000 for the month, for the year, right? Per month, 3,000. You have already invited 8,000. Now, even if I take last year's example of 35,000 invitations, means now they have what, 27,000 more to go if at all they top us, if they go with 35,000. So 27,000 for the remainder of the year, and this month still has a bit of steam to go. Where does that leave you? And the reason why I'm saying, okay, obviously there has to always be a reason, right? The reason why I'm saying all of this is because I do a lot of consultations, people are already pinning all their hopes now on Express Entry CEC with the anticipation that the scores are coming down. I spoke to somebody this morning who was dead sure that 500, that person will get invited in the next 2 months because he was promised by somebody else, or he was advised by somebody else that with these draws, IRCC is going to continue next 3, 4, 5 draws of 8,000 each. And wow. I mean, and 490s are also going to be a possibility. While I would like to believe that, the thing is that the last pool breakdown, if anything, and let me see if I have the last pool breakdown. I should have, I do. Last pool breakdown showed that we have 21,000 profiles. This was, mind you, on 4th of January, and 7th of January is when we have had the draw. So 4th of January said we had 21,000 people in the pool. Okay. And this was already a very, very big number, because this pool should have actually shrunk to probably 17,000, should have, but it didn't. From the previous draw in December, I think mid of December, what was it, 18 December that the draw happened, the pool should have been at 17,000 some people. 4,000 people got added. Where the hell did 4,000 people come from? Don't you understand? I mean, where? So it's either people who have declined their ITAs back into the pool, people who have created duplicate profiles, new people with scores, any number of people. I don't know where these people came from, but 4,000 some people got added. We came back to 21,000. Now with this 21,000, you will subtract 8,000, because 8,000 invitations have been issued, and you are now at 13,000. What if same game gets played again? What if all those people who have created their express entry profiles get points earlier, right? As you know, in January, a lot of people got their points earlier, so you saw a big impact. Usually you will see, if there is a draw at the beginning of the month and the pool breakdown comes through, you will always see there's a big jump. Why? Because express entry has this sort of a glitch where it awards you points maybe a month sooner, because the calculation of points is as per the month year, so it calculates a month sooner. So a lot of people whose work experience is actually not getting completed until February, and even cases of March, they also got invited. Could there be some of those profiles here? Now, what are those people going to do? Because they will not be, in some cases, there are people whose work experience will not complete even until March. And in some cases, even until April. But they did not correct their profiles. What did they do? Like, they had long leaves, they had maternity leaves, they had disability leave, they went away and they were working from home outside Canada. They did not break their work experience. They continue to claim the work experience. Now they have an ITA and they are struggling that should I continue, should I not? Of course not. If your work experience was not in Canada, you can't get points for it. So now what are they going to do? They're going to decline their ITAs. What will that happen? What will that do? They will go back into the pool. What will that do? The pool numbers are going to get inflated again. And what will that do? That the next draw which comes through with the number of invitations that will come through will, depending on the number of invitations, don't expect the scores to keep plummeting. The point I'm trying to make here is that don't give up on whatever your alternative plans were in the beginning of December. If you are learning French, please continue to learn French. If you are pinning your hopes on PNPs, please continue to work with PNPs. Don't give that up just about yet. This can play out in any direction. If you are looking at your work experiences in a category draws, please continue. Do not think 509, 508, 507, 506 is going to happen in the next draw. While I certainly hope and I pray for all of you that it does happen, as I said, I'm playing a devil's advocate here. I'm trying to, don't want to play spoil sport, but I would like to shake up everybody and tell them, okay, possible, not possible, etc., etc., etc. If there is any opportunity for you to improve your scores, you should still do that. Even if you can bump it up by 3 points. For a lot of you, you are sitting with CLB 9 in 2 factors or 1 factor, and CLB 10 in others. If you can retake and if you can get through with that CLB 10 in all 4, please do it. It will really make a difference when the time comes. Still, I'm getting comments here. Is there any hope for 506? Well, are you not listening to what I am saying? I mean, that's what I've been talking about in the last, there you go. I wish I could tell you whether there is a definite hope or not, or there is a definite hope or there isn't. I mean, I wish if I knew, I would be betting on such kind of speculation. I don't think anybody knows. We all love playing the speculation game, right? Why? Because it gives us a bit of a thrill. If we are right, we get to be the heroes. If we are wrong, we just fold our hands and say, well, I was just speculating, right? We all love to do that. The point is, you got to be realistic. You have to be pragmatic in your approach. You have to be practical. You have to look at what's happening, what IRCC's track record is. IRCC has played spoil sport so many times that I mean, I've lost count. So therefore, while we will all keep our fingers crossed and we will hope that come the week of 19th of January, that is when our next draw cycle or week is expected or anticipated, unless IRCC wants to surprise us next week, that would be lovely. But unless IRCC comes back with another decent size, at this point of time, I will take 5,000. I will love it. I'll take 4,000. I would love it. Anything less, and I would like, IRCC, come on, you could do better. But be aware, be calculated in your approach. And for everybody else who has received an ITA, while congratulations to you, there are now 19,000 profiles who have got an ITA. Out of these 19,000, I don't think it is 19,000, it is less. Why? Because the first time the draw came of 6,000, there were people who shouldn't have received the ITA. They declined, they came back. Again, in the next draw, they got it. They knew they were not supposed to get it. They declined and they came back. So this number who have received 19,000 ITAs is not 19,000. 110%, and I'm willing to bet my career on it, that this number is much lesser in terms of the people, genuine, actual, living, physical bodies of people who actually would make use of these 19,000. But can you imagine, for people who are declining these ITAs, how much of a loss you are causing to those people who could have gotten this ITA if it was not for you to be frivolous? In some cases, it's not your fault. You are not expected to know this is how IRCC is going to behave. In many cases, you are not the ones who are claiming work experiences sooner. You have just entered the, so it's not your fault. I agree. But then there are so many of you, and I have posted one on my Twitter, I think, and this was another one which I don't like, but unfortunately people do it. People enter information into the express entry pool when they shouldn't be doing it, and then they want to update that information, getting an ITA. Now that is direct misrepresentation, my friends. Where is it? Yeah, I have it now on my screen. There you go. Now this one was pretty, standard. I don't like it. This is something which you shouldn't be doing. Here it says, is it possible to submit the PR application and later put the VES after I get the evaluation? So then it says, because my spouse's VES we are waiting for and I'm the principal applicant. It basically means what this person did was, this person has entered imaginary number in the express entry profile, claimed the points for their spouse's education, and expected that when they will get the evaluation, then they will enter and then they will submit the ITA. So what has happened? So first of all, when I looked at it and I said, yeah, you can do it. And I said, yes, it is a mandatory document. So it's a huge thing. But then I said, wait a moment. How the hell did you get an ITA? So which basically meant you entered incorrect information. You got the ITA. You shouldn't have gotten this ITA. And now you want to wait to get the VES and then you will submit it. Now, this is, my friends, direct material misrepresentation. Even if you don't get the ban, IRCC can very easily and very quickly throw this application out, because this is considered as change of circumstances under A11.2 at the time you received your ITA versus the time you're submitting your application. And honestly speaking, this is so dishonest. And this is also one of the reasons why a lot of genuine people don't get their invitations, because people who shouldn't be getting it are taking it away, are snatching it away. So what do you do with this, right? You can't really do much, and that's how it is, right? It's a wild west out there. Anybody can do whatever they want. Express entry profile, IRCC doesn't penalize you. You can create duplicate profiles. I mean, I hate it. I would not recommend it. I don't want any one of you to claim to create duplicate profiles. But until IRCC starts putting some serious enforcements onto this, people are going to continue doing it. Like, at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and tell me honestly, if you had the opportunity, you wouldn't care a flying bat for anybody else. If it mattered that you could get an invitation, would you? I'm sure you wouldn't. So when you get angry and enraged when somebody else has done it, you should also look back at yourself and say, would you have not done it? You would probably have done it. If somebody would have told you, just do it like this, IRCC doesn't care, they will not really make much of a difference, you will be able to submit, you would have also done it. Because this person who did this, I'm sure somebody must have told him, this idea must have come to him from somewhere. All these Facebook groups, WhatsApp group, people give all kinds of pathetic, stupid, silly advice, ridiculous advice, because it doesn't cost them anything. Okay, anybody on WhatsApp group, if you ask them question, they will give you all kinds of advice, because as far as they're concerned, hey, they get to look like a hero because they're giving you advice, and to them it doesn't make any difference because it's your application at stake. They just told you and they walked away. You can't hold them ransom, you can't hold them responsible, but it's your application. So again, if you were to look at these instances and get angry and enraged and say, hey, how dare this person does, and then if you were in that position, in 9 out of 10 cases, probably some of you might have also done the same thing, or not same, but similar thing. So the problem is, this is happening across the board. This is happening with so many people. So many people have created. And the most funny one, you have to hear this one. You're getting an ITA with spouse not accompanying. Now, for the last 10 months, we already know IRCC is very, very, very strict with profiles who are claiming points for spouse not accompanying, because they find this, that you are gaming the system, because your actual intention is not that your spouse should not accompany you. Your actual intention is to sponsor your spouse later on, because right now you just want to increase your points. Now, this is a system loophole, yes, but IRCC identified it and now coming down with it. So we all, for the last 8 months, been happening that IRCC is refusing applications, sending out PFLs, even threatening people with misrepresentation, saying you are lying in your application. And people have given all kinds of reasons and excuses. People say, my spouse has gone back, though their spouse had already applied for spouse open work permit, was living in Canada. They get their ITA, they send their spouse back. They say, my spouse has gone back, my spouse is studying, my spouse has business, my spouse has job, my spouse's family needs them, my spouse's mother or father or uncle or aunt, God bless their soul, if at all they've passed away, then that person has to now go back and look after them, or that person is sick, or this person needs to be hospitalized, or this person doesn't like to live in Canada, or this person cannot find a job in Canada. I have heard it all. I know all the excuses and reasons. Somebody has to yet to surprise me with someone and say, oh, this is a new one, this is a genuine one. And in 8 out of 10 such instances, people have gotten refused. Now, we all know this. Again, Reddit is full of it. Facebook groups are full of it. WhatsApp groups, people give you all kinds of rubbish advice. But you make one profile with spouse not accompanying, now you get an ITA. And then what do you do? Because you think, okay, scores are going down. Maybe in the next draw with my spouse accompanying, I will get an ITA. So you know what I should do? I should make another express entry profile, this time with my spouse accompanying. So if I get an ITA on that one, then I will let this one go. And then the scores don't drop. You continue with this one as spouse not accompanying, but now you are in a trap, because you have also created another profile which has an electronic footprint. Every time you are making changes in your express entry profile, you're entering information, you're deleting, you're changing knock code, you're writing the employer's name, all of it is digitized, all of it leaves a digital footprint. So now you have created an express entry profile contradicting your spouse not accompanying. I'm telling you the kind of mess people make, and then they blame consultants and telling consultants that consultants only fill forms. Well, if we were only filling forms and we were not able to guide you with these things, then imagine what will happen to so many applications and the kind of trap that they fall. Knock codes. I can't even start with knock codes. I mean, knock codes are not chosen as per the title. Okay, you could be a doctor, but your knock code could be of a professor. Why? Because yes, your title is doctor of whatever, because you hold a PhD, but that does not make you a medical doctor and choose a medicine knock code. Your occupation is of a professor in a university. Choose the correct knock code. But this is just a very weird example. But there are so many such examples. You are working, I don't know, the best one I've seen one is somebody choosing their knock code as a vice president because their title was executive director. But actual role of this person was of an admin assistant. And you will say, how? Because this executive director was reporting as an admin, executive admin assistant to the president of the company. And the duties and responsibilities were exactly of an admin assistant, okay, or executive assistant if you would like to call it. But the title was executive director. So this person chose for themselves a vice president knock code or the executive director knock code. Disaster. There are so many such instances, and the reason why I'm telling you all of this is so that when you get on with your application, don't be in a rush. I know there are so many of you, and we've already talked about this, that the work permits are expiring. Last year, 1 million work permits expired. This year, in the first quarter itself, more than 300,000 work permits are expiring. 300,000. That's a lot. But then this is also the direct impact of the exodus that we had of the international students, 22, 23, 24, millions of international students. Well, now we have all of them who are now graduating and getting their work permits, and their work permits are also expiring. And then we also had those people who got their postgraduate work permit extended once, then they got postgraduate work permit extended twice, and then the spouses also got an 18-month extension. All of those extensions, you are seeing them to now coming to an expiration. It happened last year, as I said, 1 million. This year, about another 900,000 something, and first quarter about 300,000. So obviously, all these guys are like fish out of water. They are like completely trying to do whatever they can to continue staying here. Fair enough. Fake extensions, dummy extensions are an all-time high, which is basically which is even encouraging more dummy extensions. Why? Because work permit processing times have gone long. So people who genuinely need a work permit, they're not getting one because 8, 9, 10 months is what it is, realistic average time that is taking for work permits. But then there have been some which have gotten a work permit decision in 2 weeks. So there was somebody who made a dummy extension, and 2 weeks later that person got refused. So well done, IRCC. At least something you're doing right. But I hope it was across the board, but that's not happening. So many different things with IRCC. As I was saying, the Squid Games is probably got better rules than what IRCC rules are. And 2026, what a wonderful year this is going to be for so many reasons. TR to PR is around the corner. And that is another thing I want to talk to you about. TR to PR, I'm glad it came to my mind now. Have you not seen those LinkedIn posts, Facebook posts, Instagram, TikTok reels talking about the checklist of TR to PR? How the hell did anybody get a checklist when IRCC hasn't even disclosed or declared the criteria? Isn't it funny? So this is how the checklist comes. For any application, any PR application, you will definitely need education requirements. You will definitely have English test or French test requirements, and you will definitely need police clearance. You will need your previous work experience. These 4, if you are able to keep them ready at any given point of time, which you should be doing anyways, if you are aiming and targeting any PNP program or any express entry, then that is your checklist. And here, I'm giving it to you. Make sure you have an updated English test results. Make sure you have your education documents sorted out. So it means if you don't have a VES or something, get one. And if you have studied in Canada, then make sure your diploma is available, your whatever the documents are, you have it. Your work experience documents, make them, or rather make sure you have them ready. If you're not going to be leaving Canada anytime soon, apply for a police clearance. Though, I have to tell you this, if IRCC is going to open up a TR to PR program, and if they are asking you for though of course in any PR application, they will ask you for a police clearance. But if they are asking you for a police clearance and giving you only 1 week's time, as in they give you a checklist 1 week before, then don't worry. You will be able to tell IRCC, I have applied for PCC, or I am applying for one. I didn't have enough time because you have just given me the checklist. So don't freak out yet. Don't look at these checklists and say, oh my God, I have to prepare. The only thing you have to prepare if you are interested in TR to PR is one, your English test results. Why? Because English tests, even in the last TR to PR, which happened in 2021, people just couldn't get a date at the last minute. Okay. So if you are one of those people who is aiming for TR to PR, please make sure you have a valid English test or French language test results at all points of time, always. And if it is going to expire 2 months, 3 months later, and you're gunning for TR to PR, make sure you appear for another one at any point of time. Don't worry about the scores. The scores are going to, for TR to PR, the scores will never be high requirement. CLB 5, in the best case, CLB 7. And I'm sure most of you can get it, because if you're here, then you obviously can get to CLB7s easily. So CLB5, CLB7 is what you're targeting, which you should always have. Police clearance, good to have, but not something which you should waste your money and your sanity over. Work experience documents, well, you should already have them. If it is your past work experience, why are you waiting to get an ITA or a PNP and then get? There is no expiry date once you have received your work experience documents, as long as those work experience documents are dated after you have completed your work. Education documents, you should already have them. This is not something which you have to, somebody has to tell you. So if you have these documents, you are good for TR to PR. But what is going to be a TR to PR? Now, TR to PR, from what we know as far as IRCC is concerned, only two criteria or conditions have been told to us. First one is that it will be targeting rural communities or people who are in rural areas. What they haven't told us is what is going to be the definition of rural areas. Are they going to talk about, are they only going to consider those communities which are coming under RCIP and FCIP? Or is there going to be a different definition of these rural areas? We don't know yet. So don't be, blonking yourself thinking where and what and how. Second thing is you should be working already in Canada. So for anybody whose work permits are expired, or they're outside Canada, don't even waste your thought on this TR to PR. You're obviously already out of the game. Third is that you are living, working in Canada. So that's the same thing as number two, but in a priority occupation. We don't know what the priority occupations are. Are they going to be the same ones that are going to be the express entry priority list, or a different list altogether? Because provinces may have a different priority. Communities may have a different priority. For example, while all the communities in Canada need doctors, not everybody would need an insurance advisor. As I know, STEM category, I'm just taking a knock on it. Hey, no offense. Or everybody would not need, on a priority basis, a cook. Another knock on the trade category. But what I'm trying to say is that the priority for different communities, different provinces might be different. So IRCC may have a different list. We'll have to wait and watch. But healthcare will continue to be priority. Trades and construction continues to be a priority. Anything else, we don't know at this point of time. So if you are looking at TR to PR, even in the far out sense, just make sure you are not in any of the metropolitan cities. Definitely not in Toronto GTA, and definitely not into the greater Vancouver area. Definitely not in Montreal. Quebec doesn't count because TR to PR program is going to be for people outside the Quebec area. So definitely outside the main metropolitan cities. If you're going to be in Calgary, Edmonton, it probably is not going to work. If you're going to be in Winnipeg, it's not going to work. If you're going to be in Regina, it's not going to work. Saskatoon, it's not going to work. So take all these metro cities, and if you're living, working here, it's not going to work if you're going to be gunning for TR to PR. So now is the time itself. So if you're planning, don't prepare for these silly checklists that you are seeing on these Instagrams and TikTok. Rather be more pragmatic, understand what is the requirement, and whatever little information is available, read between the lines, watch more decent, credible YouTube channels like this one, subscribe to them, follow them, and of course, prepare for what the information, as per the information that is already available, instead of all these insinuated situations of people telling you to prepare this, when when it's not really going to make a big difference at that point of time. So that's your TR to PR option, which is going to happen somewhere in 2026, 2027. Now, new categories. Now, a lot of people asking about when the new categories are going to come out. I don't know. But based on how IRCC usually announces, and we only have 2 years precedence to go with, somewhere in January or February. That's when we will have the complete understanding of new categories. Now, one new category has already been added, which was last year late, which is physicians in Canada category. I don't see how many people are out there who might be eligible, but that's a mix of PNPs and express entry categories. So I'm assuming a few thousands total at most, but they have a quota of 5,000. So I hope we do get those physicians to become permanent resident. Desperately need doctors here in Canada. But other than that, healthcare pretty much will continue. I don't see healthcare going anywhere. But in healthcare, there are some occupations which I feel and I believe, based if if we continue to believe the ATIP notes that we have been seeing online, if we continue to believe them, then there could be some occupations that may face a bit of a threat. Do we know with certainty are they going to go? I don't know, not at this point of time. Again, all speculation, pure speculation. But community and social workers, pharmacy assistants, lab assistants, and there was one more. Keep forgetting which one. But these three are at this point of time, even in speculation, hanging by the thread. I do not know whether they get confirmed or not. In trade category, cooks definitely feel like they are going to get culled. And if that happens, I think everybody in trade category are going to be very, very happy because the scores can actually level down a bit. And hopefully IRCC will not turn a blind eye to the trade category this year and invite a healthy number. Now, education category is another one which people have been hoping a lot for. Again, no way of saying whether that will be included or not. Again, if you see the discussion of the stakeholders, if you see the ATIP notes or the whatever little information that has been leaked out, we did not see education making an appearance anywhere. Even on the last year's immigration levels plan when that was released, or any kind of information that has ever come out in terms of categories for 2026, I have not seen education category being spoken about or the requirement of teachers being spoken about. And therefore, I would like to speculate on the negative side at this point of time, that it is also hanging by the thread. I do not know if it continues. There could be a possibility that there are some changes to the education category as well. Now, there are some new categories that might be included. First one is the research analysts and scientific researchers. Now, to which degree those will be included? What kind of occupations will be included in that? Will there be research assistants or postdoc? I do not know which ones get included in that one. That would be an interesting one to watch. Military and armed personnel. Now, that is another occupation that is being touted as being included. Now, again, have to see how they bring that one in, because that also has a level of contradiction. Why? Because as far as IRCC is concerned, if you have work experience in armed forces or police or military in a different country, you tend to face extensive security. You tend to go through a lot of security checks and you don't get your visas that easily. Now, if they're going to be inviting you with the same work experience, then tricky. And then there is another occupation which was under discussion earlier last year, but after that I haven't heard much about, and that is senior managers. Senior managers, again, I've told you in the last video also, doesn't mean, for example, if you're an IT computer system managers, knock code 20012, or corporate sales managers, 60010 or 20, something like that. These are not considered as senior managers. Senior managers are the C-level staff, C-level executives, vice presidents, presidents, executive directors, general managers, CXOs, CTOs, CEOs, that your knock codes are 00012, 13, 14, 15, 16, those knock codes. Again, we had heard a bit about that in the stakeholder discussions earlier, in the mid of last year. After that, haven't heard. So again, have to wait and watch if those get included. Yeah, so these are the knock category changes. Of course, French, they're the kings, right? Nobody's going to get rid of that one anytime soon. That will continue for sure. Healthcare will continue for sure. Trades will continue for sure. Would love to see education continue because, to be very honest, in education, there is one knock code which has time and again come up as a priority in different provinces, and it is definitely a priority, and that is early childhood educators. Not so much with teachers, because for teachers, they still need to get a teaching license. And a lot of teachers outside India do not have a Bachelor of Education, which then becomes a problem when you come to apply for teaching license. But I'm not sure how the teaching occupations are going to go with this one. But Early childhood educators continue to be a priority. Even on the COPS report, you can find that on the ESTC website in terms of what occupations are being seen as in priority for the next 3 to 5 years. You will see early childhood educators making a comeback there as well. Again, very difficult to say whether they will completely get rid of the entire education category or some occupations will go. But again, I think within a few weeks' time, this month or next, we will have more details and information on that as well. As we move forward, we also now need to get on with our weekly roundup. That's the reason why we are all here. For a minute, I completely forgot about that. Weekly roundup. Topics of discussion. Express entry started with, again, express entry PNP program that happened on the 5th of January. You already know 574 invitations, 711 was the score. And then the big draw on the 7th of January, 8,000 invitations being issued, 511 being the score. Tiebreaker applied 10th of January. For some reason, people are still confused about a tiebreaker. Now, tiebreaker, again, for those people who do not understand yet, is it always applies to those profiles that have a score which is equal to the drawn score. Drawn score here means, in the last draw on the 7th of January, the drawn score was 511. That was the score that was drawn, okay, 511. So tiebreaker rule will apply only to the profiles with a score of 511. If your score is 512, 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever it might be, anything over 511, you will definitely get an invitation if your profile was in the pool at the time the draw was conducted. Another thing you must understand, that the time the draw is conducted and the time the draw is published are two different times. You can always, and let me see if I can find that for you. And I will go back to explaining to you about, hold on, important stuff, right? Here you go. This is the round of invitations, IRCC website. Make it big. Here it says, latest experience class draw, 7th of January, 511 is a score, 8,000 invitations, rank needed 8,000. June 10th is the tiebreaker. So every profile which had a score of 511 got impacted by June 10th tiebreaker, which means if you created your profile before 10th of June, 15:59 UTC time zone, then you were included in the draw. If you created your profile after this date and time, you were not included in this draw. If I look at the full ministerial instructions, this is the date and time of the draw. This is when it was conducted. 15:20:33 UTC basically means the draw was conducted at 10:20 in the morning. Okay, 10 a.m., 10 in the morning, 20 minutes past 10, 33 UTC. This is when the draw was conducted by IRCC. But it was published on the website and the announcements happened later, maybe 1 hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later. I don't know. I don't remember what time it was actually published, but always remember that the date. So if you have created your profile with a score of 512 before this time, before 15:20:33 UTC, then your profile, regardless if it was more than 511, it would be included in the draw, you would get invited. Everybody else, if your score was 511, you would get impacted by the tiebreaker rule if your profile was created after this particular score, and that is what tiebreaker means. I hope once and for all that this is pretty clear. And therefore, this tiebreaker is very clear. And it was of 10th of June, 15:59. This was the pool breakdown. As of 4th of January, 21,000 people in the pool on 4th of January. But because 7th of January, we had this massive express entry draw. So this pool should now look at 13,000. But I doubt it very much. And as we go into the next cycle of the draws, you will see what I'm saying, what I mean by this one. And let's hope that there isn't a very big one there. Now this one is, I wish it was a bit bigger, but this is what I was discussing with you earlier as to how many invitations have been issued throughout the year. This one tells you in the month of January, IRCC last year, 2025, IRCC invited only 5,350. So they started very tepid, right? Only 1,350 they invited. And then they went on to 4,000, then 4,000, and then they came down even below, only 500. And then they stuck with 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Then they invited only 1,000 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had 6 draws of inviting only 1,000 people. And then finally, we saw the end of the year fireworks with 11,000 invitation. So if you see this chart, it gives you a very realistic picture as to how IRCC can behave. Therefore, please do not rely on IRCC conducting large, big size draws and therefore, giving you all that nice goosebumps all the time. Be realistic and continue with your plans until you get invited. PNP updates, Ontario has now rules that will ban Canadian experience requirement. Means if anybody advertises for a job and then they insist that you should have Canadian experience, such kind of requirement of hiring has been banned. They can't really do that. And in their advertisements, they must also mention the exact amount of compensation that they would be offering for the jobs. Employers would be required to disclose if they are using artificial intelligence during the hiring process, but then I guess most of the people are using again. Anyways, again, they have to also disclose if the vacancy actually exists or are they just hiring to fill up their job bank. Prince Edward Islands has now published their anticipated dates of the draw. Now, this is one good thing that Prince Edward Island does, is that they already announce in advance what kind of draws they will be conducting and when. That gives everybody, a very certain plan to follow and allows them to prepare accordingly. In other news, startup business Class 6 decline in PR approvals. Of course, now you already know that startup business visa process or applications intake has been paused effective 31st of December. And this application approval rates are now dropping like anything. In 2023, 80% had an approval rate. This is out of, I think, 4,000 some applications processed, 3,000 got an approval. In 2024, the number was pretty much the same, but in 2025, it dropped dramatically. This is when they actually started realizing how much these applicants were taking Canada for a ride by providing all fake documents, all false business plans. They had no intention of coming to Canada to start any businesses, just buying into a plan and then submitting the applications. Well, Canada caught up to that. Medical inadmissibility threshold. Now, this is another very, very important one for people who are impacted by medical inadmissibility. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, for people, if God forbid, I'm sure most of you are already aware, if God forbid, you are suffering from a health condition which makes you inadmissible to Canada on the grounds that your condition would cost Canada a certain amount of money. Now, that amount used to be very, very low. It used to be only 6,600 some 5-6 years back. And therefore, children who are autistic, children who are suffering from Down's syndrome, and there were some other conditions as well, those would automatically become inadmissible because they could not comply with the excessive demand threshold, and hence those applications would get refused. And then something very good happened. I think it was Ahmed, our immigration minister then, who brought about this change. Then the threshold for medical inadmissibility was increased. And each year that number kept on increasing. And now for this year, this number is now a very healthy number. And this has been increased to 28,878 per year starting this year already. And with a total of 5-year threshold to 144,000. Means this is the amount of money Canada is willing to spend on your condition. So if your condition is such that it will cost Canada less than this amount, then you will not be inadmissible for excessive demand threshold. So this is a great move by increasing this amount. And that's pretty much all I have for this weekly roundup. If where is this? Oh, my name is Kuber. I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant. And if you are looking to hire a representative for your application, so many of you got your ITAs and so many of you have already been ringing us up and hiring us. So thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who has shown their faith and trust in our services from the bottom of my heart. Really, thank you so much. But if you're still looking for representation, then by all means, please drop us an email, support@askkuber.com, and we'll be very happy to represent you for your application or for any other commercial application handling services. If you still haven't subscribed to this channel, then please do. Why not? Why won't you subscribe to a good channel which is giving you good information? Yeah, please do. Okay. If you are on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram. It's a good platform. And also one thing about Instagram channel that we have is that we publish information pretty quickly on Instagram. We also share relevant news articles by scanning throughout the internet every day. Anything relevant, we post it there. We give you the resources. We tell you where the information has come from. We don't give you from our own. We don't create imaginary posts and give them to you, but it is all credible in the sense of where the source is from. Sometimes you like them, sometimes you don't like them, which is good. Difference of opinion is always right. But please do follow us on Instagram. You will find wealth of information as it gets updated on every single day. Moving on to questions. Lucy, thanks for your valuable information. My son Kevin received his ITA and we have booked your services. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin's father or mother. I'm not able to show, probably Kevin's parent. Thank you so much. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your trust. I really appreciate that. But let's take all these questions that have been flowing through. Devendra says, experience from August 2023 till March 25, BT 5 months of vacation, 5 months of vacation, and 4 weeks of 30 hours less work. How long I am eligible for CEC? Thank you. Well, you will have to go back and calculate when can you count your last 1 year of valid work experience in Canada. And 2 years from then, you are eligible for CEC. So you have work experience from August 2023 to March 2025. I do not know when your 5 months of vacation was. That you will have to calculate. I mean, honestly, I cannot sit here and calculate that for you at this point of time, but you will have to calculate what will be your last 1 year of valid work experience period. And 2 years from then is your eligibility period for CEC. Received ITA, do I need new medicals for PR if my previous medical was issued on March 24? Everybody needs a medical upfront in their PR application. However, there was a public policy exception for people who are inside Canada if you have completed your medicals, and the medicals may have been completed anywhere in the world. If you have completed your medicals within the last 5 years, then you may use the same medicals as part of your application. You don't need to do another medicals. This 5 years is from the date you submit your PR application, not from the date you received your ITA. So from the date you are submitting your PR application, go 5 years back. If your medicals is within that 5-year period, you can use them. Otherwise, please appear for a new upfront medicals and provide that. First vest expired, renew it or apply again for PR. Renew it. I was a pharmacist in India and it was before 3 years. Currently working as pharmacy assistant. When creating e-profile, what should be the primary knock code? You should still choose your primary knock code as a pharmacist. And though it was 5 years back, and I understand that, the reason for that is if by any sheer luck, Ontario conducts the human capital priorities draw, then they will be looking at your primary occupation. And if it is pharmacist and if they're still doing a healthcare draw, then you might have a chance. Why? Because Ontario Human Capital Priorities picks up people whose work experience is within the last 5 years. As far as Canadian Experiences Class or CEC or FSW or Express Entry is concerned, it doesn't matter. If you are choosing your pharmacist, which was 3 years back, you can still choose it as your primary knock code. It will not make any difference. You are not eligible in the category draw anyways because that pharmacist work experience is outside the 3-year period. I want to confirm whether my fixed term second secondment experience in Canada will be considered eligible. I do not know what you mean by fixed term secondment here. I really don't know what you mean. If it was work experience while you were studying in Canada or while you were holding a study permit, it is not eligible. If it was on a valid work permit, as a postgraduate work permit, spouse open work permit, any LMIA exempt open work permit or a closed work permit, then it counts. How does IRCC count the hours worked per week? Should I submit a PDF with hours worked each week for claimed work experience? Yes, you should. They will be looking at your pay stubs. They will be looking at your record of employment if you are no longer working. So that is how they will establish. And of course, they will also be looking at what your employer is giving in writing as to what are your hours per week. And if there is any variations, then please take your pay stubs, list down your hours per week or bi-weekly, and then do a total and tell IRCC, these are the hours that I worked. Do not calculate more than 30 hours per week because that would not be considered. If I worked during study and continued working at the same place after study, should I separate the work experience to during study and after, or should I put it continuously? If you put it continuously, it will create a problem. Why? Because when you're creating your work experience, it asks you, were you studying when you were working? So if you will say yes, it won't give you points. If you will say no, then you are lying because you are studying. Therefore, please segregate and split that period of work. Only claim work experience for which you are eligible, as in claim from the day you have applied for postgraduate work permit. Other period of work goes in your personal history after you have received your ITA. I hope that helps. Got ITA 511, took extended vacations over 2 years, means I can't hit full 2 years with the 60-day window. That's sad. I don't know where is your next super chat. Here. So I am considering claiming just 1 year, dropping CRS to 511, same as cutoff, created profile after tiebreaker, unsure if tiebreaker affects post-ITA. A11.2 doesn't mention about that. A11.2 mentions about circumstances before and after ITA. That is what it mentions. So your circumstances change. However, my recommendation for you would be to provide complete set of 2-year documents to IRCC that you have, that 6 months that you were on leave, 60 days or whatever the period of time you were on leave. Mention in your personal history that you were in a different country, or if you are not in Canada, or if you are in Canada that you were on leave, and let IRCC do the calculation. Let them drop your scores to 511 and they will continue with your application. This will be much more safer than you making the changes and then putting yourself at that edge of borderline discretion by IRCC. Company applied for my work permit under LMIA exempt, significant benefit, Canada's largest infrastructure, chances of approval. Well, it all depends on how was it established that your work actually provides significant benefit. Company being largest infrastructure company doesn't make any difference. A largest infrastructure company, if wants to get an admin assistant under a significant benefit, it won't work. So your work experience under senior surveyor, if that was explained and if it was established how you being a senior surveyor provides significant benefit to Canada and how your employment will create advantage for the company and for the Canadian economy, then yes, it has a good chance of being approved. 6 years foreign experience from 2 jobs. I didn't show one company experience in work permit due to space, but I showed in other applications and I'm going to claim the points. Any issues? No, there is no issues as long as you're able to explain. And I'm hoping that this wasn't your first application to come to Canada. If this was your subsequent application in which you missed out, then that should be fine. But if it was your first application when you came to Canada, that is a bit tricky. This one we just saw. My 8-year kid had her passport renewed. She has visitor record and visa till August. If I apply for extension of visa, and apply study permit now, travel out of Canada in March, will it impact her application? I'm obviously not able to understand here the situation. The most important factor is that if I apply for extension of visa, which visa are we extending here? And study permit. Study permit for who? For you or for your kid? Travel out of Canada in March, 1 month, will it impact? No, I mean, I honestly can't understand here. If your visa is until August, and you are going to travel only for 1 month, then there is no impact, right? You will return back. You have already made an application for extension that will continue. Your status is valid till August. That doesn't get impacted. So if you're asking about your travel, that does not impact. Me and my wife did soft landing and got our SIN and bank accounts. This year, we are planning to move permanently. Do we have to pay taxes until now for our income outside Canada? No, not really. When you return back, first of all, I'm not a tax consultant and I cannot give you any financial advice. For this, you must speak with a tax consultant. But general knowledge, when you do return back to Canada, you can show your first year if you are not in Canada at all, as not because you are not a resident, you can show you are not a tax resident. But from now onwards, if you're going to be living in Canada, you would be a tax resident. Make sure you discuss this with your tax consultant who can file your returns. And if possible, even if you file your 0 nil return for the last year, that would also help you when the time comes for you to file your citizenship. Though these dates that you are not in Canada won't count anyways. So your tax returns by and large shouldn't make much of a difference, but do speak to a tax consultant. They will be able to guide you better. My work permit expired. Now I'm working for the same Canadian company. I'm in India now and working as a contractor. Will it qualify in my express entry profile as foreign experience? Yes. If you are outside Canada working for a Canadian company as a contractor, this work experience, because you're outside Canada, you're outside the Canadian labor market, this counts as foreign work experience. Is changing from window... Is changing from window tinter to administrative assistant after postgraduate work permit in the same business is acceptable? So I do not understand what you mean by after postgraduate work permit. Yeah, the point is, if it is, I mean, so let's segregate this. Before postgraduate work permit, I don't understand this aspect of what the question has to do with this one. But you can change within the company to any occupation, provided the employer is willing to offer you that position, and you are able to show and demonstrate that you can do that job. So that's not a problem at all. Had incorrect month in express entry with CRS 516, got ITA, CEC 500 in EAPR after correcting. What can I tell you? If your score is dropping to 505 and you omitted one of my CA work experience in EE profile, can I include it now in my EAPR? As far as omitting my CA experience, can you include it? Yes, you can. So in your express entry profile, you are always only showing that work experience for which you are claiming points. And if that is legit work experience that you have, you can include it, yes. And if that puts your points to above the draw score, then you can continue with your application. But do explain this whole discrepancy and what you have been trying to do. Very, very important for IRCC to know what exactly is going on here. LMIA closed work permit, valid till June, plan to leave my employer amicably. I cleared TEF. Can I apply for a Francophone mobility work permit without impacting my current job? Yes, you can, as long as you have an employer who is willing to give you a job offer, pay a fee of $230 compliance fee so that you can apply for a new closed work permit. Yes, you don't have to leave this job at this point of time because you are on a closed work permit anyways. While you get the new job, you apply for a new closed work permit, and only when that new work permit is approved can you start working there. In the meantime, you can always apply for an interim work authorization by raising a web form, but you can't work with the new employer because you're on a closed work permit yourself. You can't work until your new work permit has been approved. Foreign experience is project work with professor, worked Feb to March, May to August, received salary next year after project completed, hours not specified. How to explain if it was part-time? You can only explain it by providing a letter from your employer. You cannot claim yourself that I worked for 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. You will have to get a letter from your employer. The letter would indicate your hours. The letter would indicate your period of work. The letter would indicate your roles and responsibilities. Only then, along with the proof of having been paid. Being paid late is not a problem, but being paid is important. Only then you will be able to claim this work experience. Is it possible to receive a work permit extension letter for postgraduate work permit extension when applying via paper? No, it is not. You do not get a work permit extension letter, authorization letter, if you are applying paper. Marrying after AOR, will it change my points or risk my file? It will not change your points, but as far as risking your profile is concerned, it can, because if your spouse is inadmissible because of safety, security, medical, security, criminality, medical, or if you're not able to establish the genuineness of your relationship, then that risks your profile, yes. PhD student in Canada, worked as research assistant, paid stipend, went to India, still working on PhD as a research assistant, can experience from February 21 to September 22 on study permit outside Canada for employer in Canada. Give score. On study permit outside Canada for employer in Canada. Yes. So if you are outside Canada, it doesn't matter what your status is. If you are outside Canada, whatever your status is, and if you're working for a Canadian employer, that would be considered as foreign work experience. There's nothing wrong with it. The point is you are outside Canada and you are counting that work. But this is foreign work experience. This is not Canadian experience. And does it count for FSW scores? Yes, it does. My foreign employer is not providing me with an experience letter in Canadian format. In my previous letter, in offer letter, job duties are not mentioned. How can I claim points? Unfortunately, this is what we call tough luck. Your roles and responsibility are critical, paramount, essential, must, whatever you call it. If your employer is not providing it for you, well, then you give it, ask for it in writing and have proof that you send them an email, you asked for it, they did not provide it. Then approach your manager, who you are reporting to, or your supervisor. Request your manager or your supervisor to give it in writing in their personal capacity, and then use that as part of your application. Alternatively, check job postings for this particular role. Use that job roles and responsibilities. Check for your company's online manuals or job description manuals and use that. But mind you, the minute you have deviated from the requirement, which is on your employment reference letter that this should be included, then it becomes IRCC's discretion to accept it or not. Therefore, a detailed letter of explanation showing your effort and attempt to get one, and then providing what you managed to get to still prove your duties, because it validates your knock code. Without validating your knock code, IRCC cannot proceed with your application. So duty is very, very important. Before marriage, had father name, surname, and after marriage, husband name. What to do in a post-ITA submission? Should we submit all pay stubs? I mean, in your application, when it asks you, do you have a different name? Say yes. Tell them that this was a name change because of marriage. Provide your marriage certificate before marriage, after marriage, if it lists, or else provide your one and same person affidavit. As far as pay stubs, try to submit for at least 1 year your pay stubs. If it is Canadian experience, provide your T4s, notice of assessment. And if you do not have a job, the previous job anymore, then provide your record of employment. Received invitation, applied for work permit extension. IRCC issued shorter work permit due to passport. Should I apply for bridge open work permit separately or raise web form under ongoing application? You can raise a web form, request IRCC to consider it as a bridge and give you the approval. Otherwise, they will give you the extension date because it was for a shorter postgraduate work permit. They will give you the extension date until your postgraduate work permit would have been valid had it gone the complete validity. After that, you can choose to apply for a bridge open work permit. If you do apply for a bridge open work permit now, which you can technically, it may be refused because of IRCC's new rule about subsequent temporary residence applications after the expiration of your original status. So the second application gets cancelled or refused the minute the first one is. So that might make an impact on yours as well, but you can apply. There's no harm in doing it. Work permit expiring soon. I'll be applying for visitor as I already have 6 NCLC in TEF, in TCF, and will be preparing for 7. I want to know if it's getting approved or not. You're asking me a visitor record is getting approved or not. As of right now, the approval rates are low. More applications are getting refused because IRCC is saying, well, you've been staying in Canada for all this long. Why do you want to stay as a visitor? So we refuse. So from your side, you have to be able to provide a very detailed explanation as to why are you wanting to apply for a visitor now, and of course, provide sufficient funds as well. Medical done in November 24. Do I need to do it again in CEC? If you're inside Canada, then you may use the same medicals completed in 2024. It has to be within the 5-year period. Received eCOPR yesterday. email in my inbox, downloaded it, but it disappeared from portal. Is it normal or glitch or under maintenance this week? I don't know. Hasn't really happened to me before. If you have been able to download it, you should be fine. If it disappeared from the portal, could be a glitch. You can always call IRCC Monday morning and ask them if it still shows up in your account or not. Or again, wait for a couple of days to see if it reappears in your portal. In Canada, working for one company for 3 years, but company got acquired by another. How to submit explanation? Should we need letter from company? If you get a letter from the company, it is always a good idea. That will always explain to IRCC the whole change in the company ownership. And you can also then add a letter of explanation stating that you joined this company and then this was acquired by this company. And now this is the company's new name or new ownership. If IRCC did not want to conduct STEM draw, IRCC could have simply removed the category from website. Why causing confusion? I agree. But then if we go with ifs and buts and whys and this, who's going to answer that question? Nobody has the answer to such questions, right? But yes, IRCC should have removed it. I agree. Hopefully they make that change this year. Any trade draw coming before cook is removed? I don't know. Let's see. Only time will tell. My IQAS ECA states it compares to a 4-year bachelor's degree and a master's degree with a focus in personal management. Should I select master's? Yes. If you have a master's degree and you evaluated your bachelor's and master's, and your IQAS is giving you a master's degree equivalency as a master's degree, then please choose as master's. I did medical when I applied for spouse open work permit. Is it valid for PR if I apply within Canada? Should I do it for safe side? Medicals, no matter where you have done it from, they remain valid for 5 years if you are in Canada and making your PR application from inside Canada. I applied for PR under healthcare as a pharmacy assistant, worked for 9 months. I'm leaving for a different job. Do I need to inform IRCC? No, you don't need to inform IRCC. The only requirement is that you are working when you submitted your application, as in you had the work experience already. You are eligible, you are qualified. After you have applied, it doesn't matter whether you're working there, you're not working there. You don't have to inform either. I got CLB 7 in French, have 3-year college degree, never studied or worked in Canada. My current job is NOC 4. Am I eligible for FSW or French draws? Unfortunately not. If you have not got work experience in tier category 0, 1, 2, 3, then you will not be eligible to create your Express Entry profile. And because you're not eligible to create your Express Entry profile, you would also not be eligible in the French draws. So please gain 1 year of work experience in a category, in a tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. Then you would be eligible as an FSW in Express Entry. And by that, you would also be eligible for the French draws. Is applying GCMS notes delaying ongoing application? Absolutely not. It has got nothing to do with delaying or expediting the application. I missed mentioning previous EE profile I created from home country because I thought it is only if I received ITA. Can I correct it or not accept ITA? Hope no PFL. Your previous Express Entry profile has no real consequence. There is nothing to be mentioned. There is nothing to be said. There is nothing to be corrected. Please continue with your application. Don't have to decline. There is nothing to be mentioned. And definitely there is no PFL for this. Worked on cash, don't have ITR or pay stubs, but have bank statements, salary and experience and guarantor certificates. Do I need something else? Bank statements does not prove cash salaries. I mean, if it was paid to you in cash, what is a bank statement showing? Right? So no, you basically need your pay stubs if you can get, or a payment voucher or a cash voucher. And if you have a salary certificate, then that works. And of course, your employment reference letters. Work permit extension is currently under maintenance status, under maintained status. I applied for PR and got AOR. What is the correct approach to apply, get a bridge open work permit? Raise a web form, send a copy of your AOR to IRCC and request them that please consider my work permit extension as a bridge open work permit. If you're lucky, they will accept it. If you're not lucky, they will refuse it. At which point of time, you will have 90 days to apply for restoration and a bridge open work permit. Can I submit my study permit extension using a conditional offer letter for a graduate certificate starting in May when my diploma completes in April and my final transcript isn't ready to receive unconditional offer? Technically, no. Technically, you have to be able to issue you can only apply for your study permit. after getting an unconditional offer. Now, you can take a chance because currently they are taking a very long time in processing. So you can take a chance. It's purely chance, entirely on the discretion of the officer. And if you are able to submit the unconditional offer before they make a decision, then there is a very high possibility it might go in your favor. But a detailed explanation would be required in this case. ITA December 16, PCC December 18, postgraduate work permit expired, explained in LOE, postgraduate work permit expiring, so applied without PCC with all proofs that applied. Your view? My view is that it should be fine. As long as you have applied with the proof that you have already applied for PCC and you have provided an explanation, then you're good. There shouldn't be any issues. All good. For foreign experience, should I highlight entries for 36 salary deposits? As I have lots of transactions. You can. There is no harm in it. Though I don't like making any changes to the documentation that I'm submitting. But if you're just trying to highlight, yeah, you can certainly do that. No problem. Work permit ends October 26. Two years Canadian experience, can't finish third due to work permit expiry, planning to move Feb 26 for foreign experience, CRS for 481, should I stay or go? What are you getting advantage by staying? And if it is only the third year points, that would still not give you very high score. But by going, if you can get foreign work experience, which you can get started as soon as possible, then I would say don't even wait, leave today. I mean, there's no advantage in staying back. The sooner you leave, the sooner you can start your foreign work experience, the sooner you can get those points. By staying, you're not getting any advantage. Canadian pharmacist license issued by province considered as certificate of qualification to claim 50 points. Can I mention this while creating express entry profile? No, you can't, because this does not give you points. Only trades occupation will give you points. Let's see, can we, where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Hold on. No. Let's see. Share screen, tab. There is this IRCC website which tells you which occupation. Sorry, I'm just scrolling very quickly here. Where is it? Assessing for certificate of qualification. There is this long list, and this does not have pharmacists that you are looking for. And these are the only pharmacists, these are the only occupations that are eligible for certificate of qualification. And not all certificate of qualifications are eligible. Then there are certain other occupations. I mean, these are the occupations as in the list of occupations that are eligible. Pharmacists do not fall into. Remove. Where did we go? Got ITA on Jan 7th under CEC, but I accidentally answered yes to the question where they ask if I have a valid job offer. Though it's a normal job offer, can I change my answer to no? Yes, you can change your answer to no. There is no problem. That was very significant when we had LMIA points. Once that LMIA points are no longer applicable, that answer to that question, do you have a job offer or not, doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Please don't worry, this is not going to make any difference. Your points will remain the same. Even if you want to leave it there, that is also fine. All you need to do is when it asks you for job offer, you can just upload your current job offer from your company that you have in. There'll be two sections, you can upload the same document. That is also fine. Removing it is also fine. Both are okay. Worked as electronics technician in India for a company that used to do electronics plus CNC, but now only CNC. Already added this experience. Can add my profile. Yeah, you can. If you included this in your study permit, this is valid, this is legit, then by all means add it in your profile. If not shown foreign work experience in initial study permit application, but my experience was legit, can I show in PR application as I have all offer letter and pay stubs? This is considered as direct and material misrepresentation. Why didn't you show it in your study permit, right? Had you shown it in your study permit, IRCC may have not approved your study permit. And because you did not show it in your study permit, IRCC does not consider this to be legit or genuine. Now you can say, I have all the work experience, it is legit. But if it was legit, why didn't you show it in the study permit? And the problem is not about legit. The problem is, why did you hide? Basically, you lied in your application by not providing complete disclosure. And therefore, this is material misrepresentation. High risk, your decision. Future changes for spousal sponsorship as they have stopped for parents. As of right now, I think spousal sponsorship will continue. ITA received date 15 December, medical expiring 5th Feb. Do I need to do medicals again? 15 December, medical expiring. Well, if it is expiring or if it has already expired. ITA received 15 December, medical expiring 5th of Feb. Well, it all depends on when you are submitting your application. The day you submit your application, your medicals should be valid. So if you're submitting your application before 4th of February and your medicals are valid, as in they were taken within the last 5 years from the date you are submitting your application, then you're good. If not, then please retake your medicals. CEC 1 year, 3 months foreign experience, same knock, multiple roles. Should letters list each role with dates or be consolidated? Yes. If there are different roles, then your letter should list all the roles with different periods of work and should specifically and categorically state that your roles and responsibilities were same throughout these different roles. Or if the roles were different, then it should categorically mention for each period what were your work experiences. Very important. Got ITA with non-accompanying common law partner as he's PR and we live together. What spouse docs and proof of relation documents to submit? Good. Well, first of all, you will say that your partner is not accompanying because your partner is already a PR. Provide a copy of your partner's PR card. For relationship, provide chat histories, call histories, pictures together. Provide common proof of addresses. Upload form 5409 notarized. Provide your lease agreement, lease documentation, and relationship milestones and history. Consultant made mistake in family information in study permit. How should that be explained? Well, if the name change is not drastic, then just a simple explanation is just provided, that you can add your father's passport copy to say that it was erroneously indicated as with this error, but I would like to correct this mistake and update with the correct information. This is my father's passport copy. My IQS ECA mentions bachelor's degree with focus in Ayurveda. It does not say years of degree for Canadian equivalent. It does not say years of degree in can I claim bachelor's point? Well, if the equivalency refers bachelor's degree, that this degree is equivalent to Canadian bachelor's with whatever, then you can claim bachelor's points for it. Postgraduate work permit says app in progress. Spouse open work permit says reviewing eligibility. Does it mean spouse open work permit is getting processed first? Sometimes we read too much into these, these status changes. Sometimes they don't mean anything at all. And the reason for that is that the system has very limited capability of the user interface, which reflects the changes in the process. And they do not exactly refer to what is happening in the background. So instead of stressing on what is happening, just wait for the processing to happen. If you applied for both together, spouse open work permit and postgraduate work permits together, then you don't have to worry. But if you applied for them separately, then if your spouse open work permit gets processed first and your postgraduate work permit hasn't been processed, your spouse open work permit may be refused. Have Walmart acting manager while associate title have an affidavit on it from someone who worked under me that time. If employer gave letter for associate, can I claim these points? Absolutely not. How can somebody who's working under you give you a letter of what your roles and responsibilities should be? That doesn't work. If you are working as a manager, even if you're acting manager, that roles and responsibilities have to come from your manager to whom you are reporting, or from your company, or from your HR, or from your head of the department, or from your store manager. Definitely not from somebody who was reporting back to you. Duties mentioned on my job letter don't exactly match with the knock code. Some of them do. How much percentage of them should match? IRCC has never indicated percentage match or a percentage requirement. This is all people on their Facebook groups or Reddit platforms, etc. put percentage. It is discretionary for the reason because the law says substantial number of duties should match. Now, the substantial is subjective, right? For one officer, substantial could be 50%. For another officer, substantial could be 90%. So that definition clarity is never there as to how many duties or what is the percentage. From your side, you should look at the knock code. You should see the duties. You should see which are the main duties. Look at the lead statement, the first 3 or 4 sentences of the lead statement. And then you should go about ensuring that your work experience and your duties match. And it's not a bad idea to add a cover letter which shows comparison between knock duties and your duties and which ones correspond as a direct match, and then a letter of explanation. Wife's passport has water damage. Postgraduate work permit is in process. PR applied with this passport. Is it safe to replace the passport and update IRCC by web form, or will it affect? No, it is absolutely safe. You can get a new passport and then send a copy of a new passport to IRCC for both your postgraduate work permit as well as for your express entry PR application. Can we move my spouse foreign work experience from work history to personal history since she's not claiming, have all docs but want to keep it simple? Yes, you can move it and add a brief letter of explanation as to the fact that you are not claiming points, but you would want to maintain complete transparency and therefore you are showing it only in the personal history because you cannot provide the documents or don't want to provide the documents. For PCC, does Canadian divorce certificate valid or need Indian divorce certificate? Marriage took place in India but got divorced in Canada. I think they will accept divorce certificate even in Canada, but I think they will need attestation from the Indian embassy on your divorce certificate. So just check with them. They will be able to give you the exact requirements better. I'm on 3-week vacation to US, want to submit CEC application now. Travel history for this trip should be marked as an ongoing. Yes, you would mark this travel as ongoing. And you don't have to update IRCC. Your address will remain Canadian and you can still submit your PR application. I was working for an employer in India and came to Canada and continued working remotely as it is allowed 40 hours. Should I include in EE profile? I was working for an employer in India, came to Canada, continued working remotely as it was allowed 40 hours. Should I include an EE profile? Well, yeah, if you want to claim these points, yes, you can include it. If it was part of your previous applications and your work permit, etc., you always informed this, you already included this, you can claim it, no problem. Job duties is a combination of 2 knocks. No, it is always 1 knock. It is you who feels it is 2 knock. There will always be 1 knock where it will be weighing heavily. And 30 to 40% match is not a good match at all. 30 to 40% is a really very poor match. As I said, substantial number of duties should match. You will have to request your employer to draft your letter in a manner that it is indicative of 1 or the 2 knocks. When you have ambiguity, it leaves it open for IRCC to their interpretation of what they think of your knock code. And if they feel you have chosen the wrong knock code, then your application is at risk. I'm on work permit and I have 2.5 years left. I'm a cook and looking for job. What is the best thing to do for PR in which area? I don't know. I mean, look for PNP options, learn French, check your express entry CRS scores. If you can improve your scores, look for new categories and then apply accordingly. Work permit expires next month. I'm unsure whether to apply only for a work permit extension or also visitor status and if my work experience will still count. First of all, I cannot recommend you to apply for any kind of work permit extensions if you are not really eligible. Those are all referred to as dummy extensions with obviously a possibility of being refused. But if you do choose to do that, that would be considered as maintained status if you apply for before the expiration, and you would continue to be on a maintained status and you can count that work. If you apply for visitor as well, again, once they make a decision on either of them, then you will retain the status and the other one will continue as an application until it is processed. You told to add pharmacist as primary occupation and said pharmacy assistant is not there in category as currently I am assistant. Why? I did explain why. I said that by adding that as a primary occupation, you would become eligible under the Ontario's Human Capital Priority Draw, if at all they choose to conduct a draw under healthcare and invite pharmacists. That is why. So that's why. Human Capital, Ontario Human Capital Priorities Draw. Pay stub not showing hours, as I have worked as truck driver and getting paid by miles, but I have logbook and experience letter mentioned everything. Okay, that's good. As long as your employment letter mentions that he was working at least 30 hours per week, then that works. I've applied for dummy extension, but now I feel that this will affect my PR file. No, it will not. In order to cope this situation, it is a good idea to raise a web form. Justify my honest mistake. What is the honest mistake here? That you applied for work permit extension? And if it is an honest mistake, then withdraw that extension. Why are you holding it? And what is there to explain? And good idea to raise a web form. Raise a web form and tell them what exactly. So I think you're creating too much of stress in your head. If you are really so stressed, just withdraw that application and then write your explanation to IRCC that you were not allowed, you were not eligible, but you made, so you're sorry. But other than that, no, there is no. As of right now, IRCC has never penalized anybody for them to have applied for a dummy. Yes, they refuse, but they've not penalized anybody. If you had explained in your extension application as to why you are applying, then there is nothing to explain anything else. But if you did not explain, you just applied for it, hoping for some miracle there, then that creates a bit of a problem, because before applying, you have answered certain questions, which basically means you answered incorrect question, which basically means you misled the officer into believing something else which you are not eligible for. That is a problem. That is where you should be wary of. And therefore, if you wish to, then withdraw that application and explain. My work permit expiry, and I'm in India with valid TRV till July. Can I enter in Canada in January, and what CBSA questions will apply? I do not know. Is your work permit expired or is it still valid? If it is expired, then you will enter Canada as a visitor. If it is still valid, you will be entering Canada on your work permit. If you're entering Canada on your work permit, you will simply say, I have a valid work permit. I intend to extend, or I intend to apply for PR, or I intend to leave. If you are coming to Canada as a visitor, then be open to questions such as, why are you entering Canada? Why are you visiting Canada? What is your purpose of visit? How long will you stay? What do you do? Where are you coming from? When will you go back? Do you have funds? Do you have family? Do you have a job? These questions, because they want to establish that you're coming to Canada as a visitor and you will return back from Canada because you're a visitor. I came as a student on a 3-year program, did only 1 year, switched to a different 1-year program with same DLI. My single transcript shows that I did 2 years of school, got a 3-year postgraduate work permit because of that. Does this still count as 2 years for PR? Yes, it counts only as 2 years. It doesn't count as 2 years also. It counts only as 1 year, because you came to Canada on a 3-year program, but you did only 1 year. And then you switch to a different 1-year program. Okay, so these are basically 2 1-year programs. These are not 2-year program. So you can't claim points for 2-year program. You will claim points for 1-year program only, because you did 2 different 1-year programs. And your single transcript shows that you did 2 years of school. That's fine. But did you get 2 different diplomas or 2 different 2 different credentials that you completed 1-year program under this program and 1 year under this? If it was 2 different 1 years, then you get 1 year. If it was combined and given to you as one single 2-year diploma, then it will be 2 years. Total hours mentioned in employment reference letter is different than the hours mentioned in ROE. Which one should I consider for CEC? You will consider your employment reference letter hours along with the supporting evidence from your pay stubs to validate that. Once we receive the AOR and then get married, will IRCC recalculate our points? No, they don't. Once you are married, then your points are locked. They will not recalculate your points. Requested ATIP as I forgot my travel history. Can I cancel the request as I realize it's not needed for sponsor, it only needed for principal applicant? Yes, you can cancel, or just let it continue and you will get it anyways for your record. Received ITA on Jan 7, but IELTS validity ends on Feb 4. Will it affect my score if I submit my documents after Feb 4? PCC will take much time. Should I cancel vacation to India in March? Huh? you cannot submit your PR application after Feb 4. If your IELTS is no longer valid, your PR application will get refused because you will lose your eligibility as far as your PR application is concerned. Your scores will drop. So please make sure you submit your PR application before the expiration of your IELTS scores. And if your PCC is taking time, just provide an explanation that your PCC is taking time. Attach proof of your having applied for PCC as part of your application. If I take LMIA from outside Ontario, like Saskatchewan, will it be helpful for PR? Is LMIA works there? LMIA works across Canada. It is not helpful for PR directly in any ways. It used to be before 25th of March 2025, you would get 50 points or 200 depending on the LMIA. Now all you can get with an LMIA is a work permit that could then lead to, I don't know, some programs that might be eligible depending on the province, and you will get the points for having worked for that employer, and that employer might be able to support you. Oh, sorry, where is the question on? Agent submitted work permit extension. I raised web form after AOR to consider bridge open work permit. Is it fine or only agent can raise? No, your agent can raise, you can raise, both is fine, no problem. As long as you raise a web form and I got my PCC done in June. I recently got my ITA, went to India for vacation. For 1 month, should I get PCC done again? Yes. If you haven't submitted your PR application yet, then if you have gone back to India and you have returned after that, then you need a new PCC. Yes. Nothing. Had 3 different positions in my job in India, but employer gave letter for only 1 position. I put only 1 position. Any issues? Yes, of course, 100% there are issues, because if you are holding 3 different positions, then you are supposed to mention 3 different positions and provide reference letter which indicates duties and responsibilities for each of the positions. Even if the positions, even if the roles and responsibilities were same, then the letter must mention that he was holding these 3 different positions and the roles and responsibilities were the same. Received IT at 511, score is 527, wife not accompanying. Adding my wife, I will still be at 521. Is it okay to add? Yes, it is okay to add. No justification required. Just make the change. Continue with your application. Live happily ever after. All the best. PCC says, I don't live at the passport address by officer, but confirms no criminal record. Will it affect my PR, or should I get a new PCC? No, it will not affect your PR. That's absolutely fine. My employer in GTA, I work from home within GTA. Shall I move to rural area in Ontario? Will it be considered for TR to PR to be eligible? If your employer is in GTA, you are working in GTA, then that is not considered as rural. If your employer is in GTA, you are working outside GTA, even that is still considered as you working for an employer in GTA. So that will not be considered as rural. Both my wife and I have 3 years of work experience in TCS. Can this experience be counted for our Canadian PR? Yes, of course, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure why you have this question. I'm just trying to see if there's something I missed. No, but as long as you can prove this work experience, it was paid, it was under a valid knock code, you can claim it if this is within the last 10 years. Is it mandatory for spouse to write IELTS if the primary has enough CR score? No, it is not mandatory at all. Your spouses will write your English, any language test only to gain additional points, but it is not required at all. Can I add my spouse after receiving an ITA with new IELTS scores for both of us as long as score remains above cutoff? Earlier, it was not a company. This is a very tricky one. Now, this is where IRCC has a problem, because you are now changing circumstances. Earlier, your circumstances were spouse was not accompanying, no English results, right? No English scores. Now you are saying spouse has a new English scores, and now I'm adding your spouse. You're changing the circumstances. It carries a risk. However, this risk is less than the risk that if you were to submit your application with spouse not accompanying, that has a higher risk of refusal. So if I was you, I would make this change and I would add my spouse, because this risk is lower than the risk to go with a spouse not accompanying as of today. Indian experience 3 years. I have salary slip letters, ITA. Do I need to submit bank statements for ITA? I would, yes, recommend bank statements as well. Please advise, I have 3 employers, 3 years of work permit. How many salary stubs are good? I would try to put at least 6 months each and 6 months bank statements for each. I got my ITA in CEC, got my PCC. I went to India for 1 month. Should I get my PCC again? Yes, your PCC is no longer valid. I know what IRCC website says. It says that your last visit should be after 6 months stay. However, IRCC is known for refusing applications stating that your PCC does not cover your entire duration of stay, which is what would happen in your case. And therefore, recommendation is to apply for a new PCC. I had 9 months of experience in India, but company is permanently closed. I have experience letter, pay stub. What else do I need to submit? You need an employment letter, which includes how long did you work for, how many hours per week, your salary, and your job roles and responsibilities. You need your pay stubs, you need your tax returns, and you need your bank statements that show salary credit. Worked in 3 different positions in a company. All positions mentioned in the work reference letter and job duties were same. Did not mention the job duties were same. Any issues? It could be potentially an issue because it did not mention the job duties were same. How does IRCC know the duties were same? So please ask your employer to make that addition. If they are refusing, then a self affidavit, though I don't recommend it, but you will have to explain that the duties were same. But otherwise, IRCC can definitely have an issue because they do not know, or they will ask you again. So better to have it rectified now itself. Spouse in land application already in process. I got an ITA recently. Is it safe to withdraw spousal? You have already gotten an AOR, means your fee is already paid, they will not refund. My recommendation is to simply continue with both, have both the PR applications ongoing. Whichever one they will process first, they will ask you to withdraw the other. At that point of time, you withdraw the other application because you will be spending money on both the applications anyways. So let it continue. Don't withdraw now. Withdraw once IRCC asks. Received ITA with spouse not accompanying and not entered Canada so far. However, having approved spouse open work permit. Direct implications, yes, for sure there will be implications because you did apply for spouse open work permit with the intention that your spouse will come to Canada. Now, it's not going to be easy for you to be able to explain why your spouse is not accompanying. If you wish to take the chance, it's entirely your call. IRCC has been very, very difficult in such applications whereby they know that the reason why your spouse is not accompanying is because of your points, because you want to show the different points. And yeah, but if you have a legit reason, you have a genuine reason, you can support it with ample of documentation, you can make an explanation and make that case. Does 1 year paid internship during dentistry in India can consider claim points? Yes, you can, if it was paid work experience, and you can get detailed reference letter with duties and responsibilities. My Indian PCC is clean. A matrimonial case was existing, but it was later squashed. I have not returned to India. Can I use this PCC or do I need a new one? You can use this PCC if it was obtained while you were outside that country and you did not return back. However, you will have to inform IRCC that there were charges laid against you, and whatever was the court decision, you will have to provide that information as well. So please make sure you answer the statutory questions correctly. My company gave me title of customer service and my roles and responsibility match only 40% with technical support. The job I did was related to automotive and technical support is IT. I don't know what the question here is, but you have to be very, very sure that your roles and responsibility match with the knock code you are choosing. Otherwise, your application may be refused. 1 year, 3 months, same knock, 3 titles in work and personal history, split roles or listed as one. 1 year, 3 months, foreign experience. No, split the roles for sure. Split the roles, provide different letters or provide one letter with different roles and upload it in the same, but definitely split it because if you're holding 3 different titles, you have to provide 3 different informations. 3 different document sets. If applied for dummy extension and received AOR and now want to apply for bridge, what's the process? Raise a web form, provide a copy of the AOR with an explanation as to why you applied, what you applied first, and what are you doing, what are you requesting them to do now, and request them to give you, to treat that application as a bridge open work permit. COPR expired yesterday, had newborn after COPR and before landing, trying adding newborn, paid fees, advanced health check, no reply at all from Delhi High Commission. What is the probability of COPR will be renewed? Extremely high. Continue chasing IRCC, continue raising web forms, probably raise one after every 10 days. flood them with the emails if you have to, but they will extend your COPR. You will get a new COPR. They will also add your child. I know it's very frustrating, but that's IRCC. Got IT under CEC. Can I leave Canada on a visitor record after submitting documents under CEC? Are proof of funds needed in this case? Proof of funds not needed because you are CEC. After submitting a PR application, you can certainly leave Canada. There is no problem. I applied for work permit extension, but it was refused. I'm currently on restoration status. I worked few months. Does that experience count? If you worked for that few months while your work permit extension was in process, means you were on maintained status as a worker, that counts 100%, no problem. Worked for an American company but was paid by a Canadian ULC company and received T4s and EI was deducted. Does it count as foreign work experience or Canadian? It counts as Canadian work experience if you were being paid by a Canadian employer and you were part of Canadian labor market. So yeah, provide all your documentation with your employment reference letter. I'm currently working in construction in Canada doing both flooring and carpentry, and my background is in electronics. For my express entry, which occupation should I select as my main? It will all depend on what your employer will give you as your reference letter. If you will get your reference letter as a flooring installer, then it will be flooring installer. If you get it as a carpenter, then it will be carpenter. However, carpentry is a licensed occupation. So if you do not have a license for carpentry, then I would recommend you stick with flooring installer only. If foreign work experience shown if foreign experience not shown in initial study permit but declared in study permit extension, work permit and work permit extension, can I claim? It's very tricky because you did not show it in your initial study permit, and IRCC can always come back and ask you. It will still be considered as material misrepresentation because you did not show it in your first application when it mattered the most. And because you did not show it in the subsequent applications, they don't really care because you're already inside Canada. So they're not really checking. They're not really matching with your background at all. Now they will match. And if your first study permit application, you did not disclose, because that is where the biggest impact would have happened. They would have considered that work experience, and they would have chosen either to approve your application or not to approve your application. So still a big risk. Decision is yours. I did not disclose my foreign experience in my study permit. My experience is genuine, documented. Can I claim now for PR? Again, the same question. If you did not show it in your study permit, means you have lied in your application. Direct misrepresentation risk is there for you. Your decision whether you want to. The fact that this is genuine, everybody says it is genuine. Then if it was genuine, why didn't you show it in your study permit? That is the question that IRCC always has. And big risk. I know you're very anxious to use that work experience, but the point again comes back to why didn't you show it in your study permit? Giving the excuse, my agent did it, my agent said this, somebody else did this, somebody else told me, it did not match. All of that can be left aside. Your application is your application. You were supposed to be truthful in your applications. You were not, hence the problem now. My 2 years experience completes on 12th of February, but my closed work permit expires on 10th. My work visa expires on 5th. How to get 2 years experience? Request your employer, apply for extension. If you apply for extension, you would be on a maintained status. You can continue working while your extension gets processed, and then you complete your work experience. My wife is RN in Ontario, and we have applied for Ontario foreign worker stream. Everything is done. Decision is in the process. On job offer, it is temporary full-time. What now? What now? I don't know. Oh, decision is in progress. Well, nothing. You can't do anything. You'll have to wait. If your work permit is expiring, unfortunately, you can't do anything. Yeah, you have to simply wait. There is nothing that you can do at this point of time in this situation. You can choose to change your status to a visitor and continue being in Canada. Explain to IRCC you have applied under foreign worker stream, where you being in Canada is important because your continuity with that work experience is important. So you're waiting for a decision. Once you get a decision, you will apply for a closed work permit based on the nomination. Other than that, unfortunately, you have no other option. 1 year CAD work, got checks for salary without source deduction. Employer issued T4A. T4A is issued to contractors, not to employees. And T4A is considered as self-employed work experience. It is not about showing it as genuine employment. It is about showing it as valid employment. Valid employment, in this case, it is not. It is considered as self-employment because this is self-employment. I mean, T4A is straight away for self-employment people, self-employed individuals. If it was T4, then it was an employee. Unfortunately, this doesn't count. Came to Canada from India. Just a moment. Sorry about that. Wanted to get some water. Came to Canada from India on study permit. Never travel back. Should I mention it in CEC travel history? Yes, you should. You should mention it as your first date of arrival in Canada. Sorry, the first time you departed from India to Canada, you mention that date as from date, and you will show it as an ongoing travel. That's what you would mention there. Where did we go? Yeah. CELPIP Jan 4, ITA Jan 7, score Jan 10. That's pretty lucky. Work experience won't complete within 60 days window. With new CELPIP, I'm above cutoff. Proceed or wait? If you have CELPIP on Jan 4th, I'm sure you would have included it in your score. If you have included it in your score and your score remains more than the cutoff, then you can continue. I got IT on 7th of Jan, CEC, but my spouse went to India on October and will be back in March. Should I proceed? How should I proceed with a PCC? Your spouse will get a PCC from India, from Passport Seva Kendra, and that PCC will become part of your application. That's how you will proceed. And you will show in your application that your spouse is currently in India. 3-year teacher experience, India 2016 to 2019, HR recruitment, April 22 to October 23. Is my experience expired? Yes. Your experience as HR recruiter has expired. What is this July 24? July 25 to December 25 as carpenter. So July 25 to December 25 is valid. Anything before that is already outside the 2-year period. So yeah, this will take a lot of sitting out and calculation. Can't do this on a live stream, sorry. What you need to do is you need to put together your experience. You'll have to make sure your 1 year stays within the last 3 years. You can take July to December, 6 months, and the previous one, 6 months, and see that combination of these two must be within the last 3 years, then you are eligible in the CEC. I'm working part-time and my job lets me pick up extra hours. I end up working full-time hours. So far, I have equivalent hours of 2 years of experience. Is it valid enough when I actually reach 2 years since started? It doesn't work like this. You can work maximum of 30 hours per week. If your 30 hours per week is completed, whether it's 2 part-time jobs or you are working part-time and then overtime, it doesn't matter. 30 hours per week over a span of 104 weeks, that will be what, 3120 hours. That would be 2 years of experience. If it is less than 30 hours, you will calculate less than 30 hours. If it is more than 30 hours, you will calculate 30 hours. You can't go beyond 30 hours. But if you take combination of all this, you complete 3,120 hours with a minimum of 104 weeks. That would be 2 years of experience. So you cannot complete 3120 hours before completing your 104 weeks, then that is not eligible. That basically means you are counting extra hours, more than 30 hours per week, which is not allowed. Maximum 30 is the limit. Non-EEPR 24 BGV. What is BGV? Comp got ITAs CEC worth applying now. I have no idea what you're trying to ask me, but if you're trying to do 2 applications, it's entirely up to you. If you wish to apply, the non-express entry PR applications can take up to 2 years. Accordingly, you can make a decision. Went to India on 28th of October, came back 28th of November, but I applied for PCC in on 27th of November. I got new PCC issue date 6th of December, will it be valid? Yes, it will be valid if it was issued. Issue date is important. If it was issued after your last visit, your last departure date, then it is valid. Company acquired by another company, question, should segregate work experience or 1 year experience or foreign experience, offer letter. Guys, at least, write your questions properly, so at least somebody who's reading, who doesn't know what you're trying to say, can understand. Company acquired by another company, question, should segregate work experience or work experience and foreign experience, offer letter compulsory. I really cannot understand what you're saying. Pay stub, employment letter enough. Yes, pay stub, employment letter is required, but you definitely need to provide your employment reference letter. It needs to mention, again, I do not know what you're trying to ask me, but it needs to mention your entire period of work, or different companies will give you different letters, and it should list down your roles and responsibilities, your hours per week, and the period of time that you were working for. On closed work permit in the last 2 years for family emergency, I've been traveling to India. While I have been working with the same employer from India on CA salary, Canadian salary, will that count towards CEC? No, it will not. Any period of work that you've been working from outside Canada does not constitute as Canadian work experience. IRCC has been very clear with this multiple times on many platforms. It's there on your Twitter account, it's on their website, it's there everywhere. So no, it doesn't count. Any period of work that you've been outside Canada and you're working for the employer, it doesn't count. I put pharmacist's primary occupation and worked before 3 years. Will it consider in healthcare EE draw? No, it will not. Your primary knock code does not give you EE healthcare. You can choose any primary knock code as long as your eligible knock code is listed in your work history and you've got 6 months of work experience and that occupation is part of the category draw, then you are eligible. It doesn't have to be primary occupation. The only reason of telling you to make it your primary occupation is so that you can target the Ontario's human capital priorities draw, not express entry healthcare. Express entry healthcare, that pharmacist work experience, which is before 3 years, you're not eligible. I hope this is clear, because this is the third time you're asking me the same question. And I'm telling you again, the reason to put this as primary occupation is because of your targeting Ontario human capital priorities draw healthcare category. Express entry healthcare category, pharmacist, which was 3 years back, you are not eligible. I did 1 year of tile setting experience in Canada 3 years ago. Now I'm going back to India. I'm still eligible for French draw with Am I still eligible for French draw with expired work permit? To be eligible for a French draw, you should have NCLC 7. If you have NCLC 7, whether you're a Canadian experience class, whether you're a federal skilled worker, it doesn't matter. You would be eligible for French draw. Is there a risk if I apply for PR without my spouse accompanying me, if my spouse returns to India while they are on a work permit? Yes, there is. The fact is that they were in Canada, they had a work permit. Just because they've gone back does not absolve you of you changing from accompanying to not accompanying just to increase points. So same risks, same factors. Listen, IRCC knows exactly what you're trying to do. Just because your spouse has gone back doesn't change anything. The whole reason why this accompanying, not accompanying option was available was for genuine situations where your spouse could not be part of your applications. Nowadays, everybody is using it only to bump up their points, which IRCC knows. And this option was never meant for that. This is called gaming the system. And because of that, IRCC says we will refuse your application. Now, there are some very serious discussions ongoing where IRCC says that we will try and give same points for spouse accompanying and not accompanying, therefore you not having to do this. But until that happens, IRCC is continuing to refuse applications on these grounds. Have 8 months of foreign work experience, will complete 2 years, work permit expires in Jan. What to do? Go back and get 4 months of experience, or learn French, or focus on another way? Definitely go back and get foreign work experience. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The sooner you go, the sooner you can complete. The sooner you complete, the sooner you can get your scores up. French, I mean, in 4 months, there is no way you can learn French. So while you can learn French if you wish to, but it won't be done in 4 months. It would take you much longer. But 4 months will definitely get you your foreign work experience points. Got an ITA, congratulations, well done. What question is this related to? I don't know. Yeah, sorry. 6 years foreign experience, local business, no ITR cash salary. Okay. Spouse open work permit was refused twice while I was a student. I'm now working on T2 job. Should I reapply now or wait for PR? And will this affect my PR points? No, it will not affect your PR points. I mean, your spouse open work permit refusal has no impact on your PR application. So no, this does not impact your PR application at all. I'm main applicant, submitted PR application before ITA. My spouse applied for visitor record to maintain status after AOR applied for bridge open work permits. Do I need to withdraw her visitor file? That visitor record probably has given her a maintained status. But you applying for a spouse open work permit now basically means 2 temporary residence applications after her original status expired, which basically means her second application gets rejected. But if you withdraw the first one, that basically means the second one second one can also not be considered. So at this point of time, just leave it, just let it go and see which one gets approved first. This one, unnecessary lot of complexity has been created. But if you have a visitor record to maintain status, then leave it, because if you withdraw that visitor record, then she loses status and she no longer has status in Canada until any of the applications is decided upon. Human capital priorities was applied with spouse accompanying. Can I change the EE profile to add spouse after nomination and apply together? Yes. I mean, if your spouse was already accompanying you in a human capital priority, what is the need to change anything? It's your spouse is already part of your application. 1 year, 3 months, foreign experience, continuous duration in same company, knock 3 roles. Oh, we are coming back to the same question. In work and personal history, split roles or list as one? Well, you should split the roles. I think you're asking me this for the second or the third time. You have 3 roles. You must split the 3 roles. You must provide each period of work. You must provide individual knock codes. Your letter could be one if it is the same employer, or even if it is a different company name or whatever. It must indicate roles and responsibility for each work period. It is essential. It is really, really important. You cannot have one title for all 3 when you were having different roles. So it's very important. And your employer has to give it in writing that you were working in 3 different roles, and this was your roles and responsibility for each of these titles. P2 on October, still no ECO PR expected. Well, we expect Jan, Feb to start rolling out. Me and my spouse need some Canadian address for PR. I'm not sure, is it a question? No, I'm not sure what you mean by that question, sorry. PCC and medical done for study permit, never left Canada. Should I do PCC and medical again after getting ITA? Your medicals, if they were done within the last 5 years, you may use the same one. If you obtained the police clearance while you were outside that country, never returned back, you may use the same one with a cover letter stating you obtained it while you were outside, you've never gone back, and therefore it should be considered as valid. Refusal for a dummy extension can lead to PFL. No, said who? Regarding a dummy extension, what should I write in the LOE? I can't tell you. I'm not even recommending that you should do a dummy extension. Why would I give you a reason what you can add in a dummy extension? Dummy extension, you're not even eligible. As in, there is no provision for anybody to apply for a work permit extension. You're asking me here, what should I give a reason? There is no reason to give as a dummy extension. You will have to tell them what you're trying to do. My job reference letter states under the refusal date, is it going to impact? My job reference letter states until the refusal date. Is it going to impact my profile? No, it does not impact your profile. At the end of the day, if you are on a valid, legal, maintained status and you are working, that's perfectly fine. That gives you the points. You can claim those points. You can provide those documentation. If you're applying for extension now, after you have received your ITA, you can mention you have received your ITA, and you're applying for PR, you will be uploading your AOR. If you're doing it after your AOR, you are eligible for bridge open work permit. It's not even a dummy anymore. So then you will be applying with the explanation that you're applying for a bridge open work permit. This is the copy of your AOR. I'm about to hit 507. Should I start French? Well, learning French is never a bad idea. 507, you'll have to wait and watch how it progresses. My company got acquired by another company, so how to mention work experience in profile? 2 separate experience, 2 separate. So you can mention the most recent company, and in the bracket, you can put the older company's name. When you're uploading a PR documentation, you can add a cover letter stating my company was earlier this, then it was acquired by this company, and this is the new company's name. That works. Working in CIBC as a contractor, about getting paid by a third party, shall I mention about CIBC in PR application or should I mention agency? You should mention agency's name and in bracket you should put CIBC. Same answer. Add a cover letter stating you are working for CIBC as a contractor on behalf of this agency, who is your employer, who pays your salary. For an experience, salary received in cash, initially, later in bank, have bank statement, but cash vouchers are in different language, how to present. If the cash vouchers are in a different language, then you get a translation done with a proper, from an authorized translator and add as part of your application with an explanation that you are being paid in cash earlier. Full-time permanent job offer is required in OINP foreign worker stream. That's why I asked about decision is pending. But on our job offer, it is temporary full-time mentioned. Decision will be in our favor or not. Oh, okay. Now I understand. It will depend on the officer. If it is showing temporary full-time, then that is a big question mark. It has to be permanent full-time. Permanent full-time is the main mandatory requirement. Now, in some cases, what Ontario has done is it has reached out to the employers and it has asked the employers, are you going to offer permanent full-time or not? But that has always been on the discretion of the individual officer. Some officers are very, very strict and they will outright send you a notice of intent to refuse. Now, even if you get a notice of intent to refuse and you go back to your employer and ask them to change that language and make it permanent, then again, you have a chance. But if they will not do that, then unfortunately, it may lead to a refusal. Got ITA, can I change knock if it doesn't impact score? Yes, you can change knock, add a letter of explanation. I've applied my study permit in Jan and got approved in 2021 Feb. I have worked from Jan to Feb. Can I claim points? You have worked from Jan to Feb under what authorization? And this is Jan 2020 to Feb 2021. What was your status at that point of time? And no, you can't claim those points. If you were on a work permit before you applied for study permit in Jan 2020, depends on when your work permit expired. If your work permit expired and then you were on a maintained status because your study permit was in process, you couldn't have worked at all because you applied for change of status. So this one is a huge, huge gray area with a lot of problems. Me and my wife working in IT while applying for PR, can I be the primary applicant as I'm getting higher score? Absolutely, 100% you can. Please, you create your Express Entry profile with yourself as a primary applicant. Your spouse can create another Express Entry profile with them being the primary applicant. You can do that. There's no problem. Both of you could be dependent on each other's application. Whoever gets invitation first can proceed with the PR application. Sibling was disclosed in my 2020 visitor visa and 5707 did not collect sibling details in 21 for PR. LOE required? No, not really. In most cases, not. Sometimes IRCC may ask you to redo IMM 5645, which you can, but that's not a problem. Yes, same company, but in personal history too. Yes, in personal history. Everything that you are mentioning in your work history will again be repeated in your personal history anyways, but please maintain consistency in information. My pay stub hours equal to ROE hours. Hours are less in my employment reference letter. Employer considered hours work deducting time offs. Can I consider ROE pay stub hours instead? That would be a conflict of the information that your employer is stating. Instead, ask your employer to put a range of the hours that he worked between these hours to these hours. Because if your employer is saying you work 30 hours, but you are claiming 40 hours, that won't work. Vice versa, if you're actually, that won't work anyways because maximum is 30. So if your employer is saying you worked only 20 hours per week, but you are claiming 30 hours per week, that might also raise a big doubt or confusion with IRCC. So try to get from your employer a range of the hours that he worked between 20 to 30 hours, and then you can provide a letter of explanation, provide a table that these are the hours that you worked for this employer. Is chartered accountant considered as masters? No, it is not. CRS 492 postgraduate work permit expiring in April, whatever. What are the odds? Difficult odds, very difficult odds. 492 at this point of time doesn't, I mean, at least I don't see much of an option. Employer not supporting OINP, chances for work permit extension are none at this point of time. I mean, I don't see anything, any which ways the chances for work permit extension. Find another employer who can give you an LMIA. Learn French, apply for Francophone mobility if you can with level 5 in speaking and listening. Look for a different province, gain foreign work experience. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Indian MCOM is equivalent to 1 year PG by West. Should the level of education selected in EAPR should be corrected to 1 year diploma similar to Canadian equivalency? Yes, it should be. So where it asks you what is your credential, you will say master's. Then it asks you what is the equivalency you got, you will say 1 year program. My Canadian employer refused to give reference letter as their portal got changed. I only have offer letter with a start date. What docs do you need to submit? You will still need an employment reference letter. They have to give you, or rather you have to get it. Without that, you will still need to prove your period of work, your hours per week, your salary, and your roles and responsibilities. If your employer will not give it, take whatever document that they are giving you. And then the missing information, please request your manager to provide it to you in writing. Otherwise, you will not be able to claim points. But this information that you have to provide validates your employment. Otherwise, your application may be refused. I work on-site in Canada for 1 year, then work remotely from outside Canada for the same Canadian employer. Will that count as foreign work experience? Yes, it would. If you're working from outside Canada for an employer who's inside Canada, then that is foreign work experience. 1 year of tiling experience as a tile setter, was invited by Ontario, then was returned. Now, how I make sure for French draw, I have 7 LCL. I get accepted in what documents? Well, that work experience that you have as a tile setter will still be counted. You will still get points for it. And if you have already got 7 NCLC 7 in French, which is great, well done, just update your profile, Express Entry profile with your scores. Hopefully in the next French category, you will get invited. The documents you will need: the employment reference letter from your employer, roles and responsibilities, salary, working hours, period of work on the company letterhead, signed, dated, pay stubs, T4s, notice of assessment, your French language exams, your police clearance, your education documents, your passport. That's it. Got ITA, have 6 years foreign experience with local firm, cash salary, no bank statement, but I have LOE, pay stubs, reference letter, accept ITA or decline or wait 2 years to complete. You can accept your ITA. You will need your salary certificate. You will need cash payment vouchers or salary pay stubs or something, some proof of being received. If this was cash salary, always need additional documents to support that this was paid. You can submit your application. If you want to take a chance, then either you wait. But if I was you, I would go ahead with it. Work permit expired in India, now got invited and submitted CEC from India. I have visitor visa. Can I travel to Canada and stay there? Yes, you can travel to Canada. You will be subject to border officers questioning. As long as you satisfy that, then you should be in Canada as a visitor. Spouse applied for visitor record before postgraduate work permit expires. Decision still pending. Received ITA. Applied her spouse open work permit. My bridge. Decision pending. I am submitted confirmation for visitor and spouse. Should I withdraw VR? You were able to apply for your spouse open work permit because you were maintaining status. You said spouse applied for visitor record before postgraduate work permit. So after expiry of postgraduate work permit, the reason you are in Canada maintaining status is because of that visitor record. If you withdraw the visitor record, you lose your maintained status. And therefore, you are now a person out of status. And you have submitted an application while you were on a maintained status. So while you were on a maintained status, you submitted another application. Now that application, the first one is giving you maintained status. Second one was applied for when your first status had already expired. The second application as it is a cancelled application because you can't do subsequent application if your status is expired. Don't withdraw for visitor record. What is your take on current pool and upcoming draws? Well, watch the video from the beginning. We discussed that in detail. Can't go through it all over again. 504, 507, in my opinion, I still think it's pretty dicey. Please keep your eyes out for the next draws. I don't think IRCC can maintain the or can sustain these kind of draws of 8,000 kind of numbers yet. I mean, they can't. It's not possible. 5 or 6, what are the chances? Same answer. Please keep a lookout on the way IRCC conducts the draws. I still feel you should keep your options open. I was in India from March to June, got PCC, came to Canada, now waiting for French, need a new PCC. Is it expired? Yes. If you have gone back to India and you have returned back, now your PCC, previous one is expired, you need to apply for a new PCC. I got my ITA for my foreign experience from companies, can only produce 3 payslips each. Employer can't produce more. Bank statements can't be produced. Will it be a problem? Well, you can submit your application with whatever you have. IRCC can always ask you for more documents. You can't produce bank statements, you can't produce pay stubs. IRCC can have a serious problem with it. But instead of trying to explain upfront, just submit what you have. Let IRCC come back to you and ask you, and then you can figure out what you want to explain depending on what you're asking. But yes, IRCC can definitely ask for more documentation with this issue. Working full-time, but something get less than 30 hours, like once a week, will that be a problem in PE? And then in federal application. But something get less than, Working full-time, but something get less than like once a week in a month. So if it was just a one-time thing, but you still compensated and you have extra hours, I think you will be fine. Any idea of LMIA availability? Well, for LMIA availability, please check with the employers who might have availability. You can check the job bank. You can check individual institutions and see if they have availability of LMIAs and then explore the options there. Do we need date of birth certificate from India for non-express entry for PR application after OINP approval? Yes, you do. Birth certificate is a mandatory document. If you don't have it, please apply for one. CRS is 455. Is this number good for healthcare draw? At this point of time, I would say you need to work hard. You need to get a better score than 455. 455, if they conduct a massive draw, then maybe, but otherwise it looks difficult. Foreign work letter lacks duties. I have 6 months cash receipt, foreign employer unresponsive. Is claiming CRS point risky? Yes, very risky. Without duties, you can't claim points. That's it. Because your duties validates your knock code. If your knock code cannot be validated, your application is at risk. Pay stub doesn't have vacation pay mentioned. Okay. I applied for inland spousal's application and open work permit 2 weeks before postgraduate work permit expired, but application was returned being incomplete. I am out of status. Okay. I'm not sure what is the question. If you're out of status and if you're within the restoration period, you can apply again. With restoration, you apply for another work permit. I applied study permit in India, got approved in Feb. I worked in India from Jan 20 to Feb 21. Can I claim that work experience I did not mention on my study permit? Okay, yes, you can, absolutely. You see how clarity helps. Previously, you said you applied for work permit, study permit extension. Now, we do not know how you applied. But if you applied for study permit in India in Jan 2020, got approved in Feb 21. But in India, you worked from Jan 2020 to Feb 21, then that is fine. You can claim that work experience. I hope you showed that in your work permit. I have 2.8 years of foreign experience and 1 year of tier 2 experience in Canada. I'm currently in India. If I gain 4 months, does it need to be in the same domain? No, it doesn't need to be in the same domain. It could be in any tier 0, 1, 2, 3 category. Okay, guys, I cannot take any more questions. I am really, really exhausted and finished out. I mean, come on, have some mercy, man. We are now running at, how long have we been online? It doesn't even show that. Okay, 2.5 hours. Now that has to be something. Last few questions. I won't take more than that. I just can't. I just don't have the bandwidth anymore. Let me put this on so you know that. This one has to be my longest streams I've done ever. Next question. Previously selected MCOM in level of education and CAD equivalent as 1 year before ITA scores were 520. Now same in EAPR scores are 521. Is it okay? Yes, it's fine. Absolutely fine. No issues with that. Working for an Indian employer while in Canada, do I need to get paid in NRI or any normal Indian bank account. You can get paid anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. You can get paid in Canadian, you can get paid in US. The point is you be able to prove that this is genuine, legit remote work experience. Applied postgraduate work permit, July 25, wedding planned June. When can expect PGWP, or should I postpone the marriage date after receiving PGWP? Why should you postpone because of PGWP? I mean, you can get married, get happily married. You've already applied for postgraduate work permit. You can travel, get married, come back. If you have a TRV, if you don't have a TRV, then wait for your PGWP to be approved. After it gets approved, apply for TRV. In both the situation, you don't need to postpone your wedding. Please continue. Study will be over in April. Wife is in closed work permit in Alberta. Rural, done 1 year experience. Her work permit will expire in October. Can I apply for spouse open work permit when I apply for work permit? What? Study will be over in April. Wife is on closed work permit. 1 year experience. Her work permit will expire in 26. Can I apply for a spouse open work permit when I apply for work permit? If you are on a study permit, you can apply for your spouse's open work permit, provided you yourself are working at that point of time in a tier category 0 or 1, or under specific priority occupations in tier 2 or 3, then you can apply for your spouse's open work permit. Filed JR, waiting for ATIP. If this year my knock may be removed, then any issues for reconsideration in JR process? No, not at all. If your JR is accepted and approved, then your application will be processed as per the original conditions under which you applied. So that's not a problem. Variable hours ranging from 24 to 36 throughout 3 years. How will the calculation for 1560 hours work in that case? It will work on actual hours. Means for each pay stub, you will calculate how many hours you worked, and you calculate all those hours. It should equate to 1560 hours. You cannot calculate any time more than 30 hours. So maximum 30 hours or actuals between 24 to 30. Nothing more than 30 can be calculated. When you get a total of 1560 hours, then you are eligible. In Masters was formerly listed as an MBA instead of MMS with 1 month date difference in my 2020 visitor visa, while all later applications were correct, and I'm claiming points only for my Canadian Masters. That's perfectly fine. There is no issues. Just make sure you enter everything correctly in your PR application. Passport upload. Do we need all pages with stamps? You need all pages with stamps or markings, any kind of markings. You need to upload all those pages. Also change NOC from financial manager to financial auditor. Do I need LOE? Yes, it's always a good idea whenever you're changing a NOC code to provide a brief explanation as to why have you changed your NOC code. 3 months starting and 3 months ending pay stubs enough? Yes, that's enough. Also add your bank statements. In case of CEC, add your T4s and notice of assessment. Last question. I have Ontario Master's Stream nomination. My work permit is expiring soon. My AOR will take time under non-express entry. Is there any way to extend work permit? You can apply for work permit extension just before the expiry of your work permit with the screenshot of your portal with the detailed letter of explanation that you are waiting for your AOR. You would need to take this while you're staying in Canada. They will wait till you get your AOR. As I was saying, if you are lucky, they will wait. You can submit it to IRCC and then they can process and approve your work permit application. Left Canada in 2024, never returned, employed till February 25, work permit expired. If you left Canada in 2024, then you can count work experience only till November 29, 2024, because after that, your work experience is outside Canada. This vacation pay, etc., you cannot count. If you are not working, then it cannot count. At most, you can count 2 weeks as vacation, but that's about it, but nothing more than that. Right. Oh my God. Today was a real long one. Thank you so much for staying up with me and being part of this very long marathon kind of live stream. Thank you so much. I will stay forever hopeful. I hope you do as well. As we continue into 2026, I hope and pray that IRCC keeps up with this blitz that they have in express entry. I'm sure throughout the year, there will be more times when they would conduct this nice big draws, and that would really give us a chance to, be ecstatic again. But until then, be realistic, be pragmatic, be resourceful, figure out what your options are otherwise, and also keep your options that you were considering earlier so that you always have a chance at the end of the day. Take care, stay forever hopeful, and I will see you on the other side.